record. Very loud. Let's fix that. Hey, Jim, I'm Dwayne. I'm going to make a few announcements to this group first, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. First of all, if you want to ask a question, if you're at home, you put it in chat. Just put your name, and you if you're here, you just line up. Sorry, you just line up. And what we really want to do is see everybody's faces. If you're at home and there's some reason that you can't show your face, like you don't have a camera or you're indecent, then don't. But otherwise, please do, because Jim doesn't want to look at a bunch of names. And so with that, welcome Jim Cummings to Utah Valley University. Welcome back to Utah. So got a good, we got about, I don't know, about 25 people here, and we've got about 35 at home. Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, can't you?
Oh, we can, but you're soft.
My song.
So,
let me see if I can turn this up. Hold on, I have a microphone right here, and I can adjust the volume. How's that? Is that any better?
much better.
All right, cool.
Okay, perfect. So welcome. This is a great movie. We've enjoyed in this class kind of binging Jim Cummings the past few weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. We're all just kind of in that weird state when you spend about a week and a half watching all of your movies. So I have some questions. I'm going to ask a couple questions, and we've got guys here who are going to want to talk to you. It's just really a great honor to have you.
Oh, likewise.
My first question is about filming in Utah. You came to Utah and shot. There's about 6 of our former UVU students in your credits that I knew of, just in my short time here, which is about 6 years, and a few other people, some recognizable faces as well, in the film. And so that was a lot of fun. So I'd love to just hear why you decided to shoot in Utah and how it went.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for watching the movies, and thank you for coming here tonight. You fools, you're listening to me. Yeah, we shot in Utah because I knew Utah pretty well. I'd gone there when I was a kid to Park City to go skiing. And then having gone to Sundance in 2016 and 2017, I just kind of wrote the movie thinking about that world of like cabins and snow and plains. And I did a bit of research about the sheriff's department in Colville and in Summit County, just by like calling and talking to people. And then I don't know, it was kind of always the plan. I think my producers had wanted to do upstate New York for the tax credit. And then I was like, well, you know, why don't we just do Utah? It'd be a lot of fun. And then we just started scouting, and we found the Summit County courthouse, and that was like the police station. It was like so many different locations. I was like, we could shoot 40% of the movie here. So it very quickly became Utah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks for coming. And I think your company recently shot California King here too. Is that you're involved in that, at least from a RQ?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah, and it also stars Jimmy Tatro, who's in the opening scene of Wolves No Hollow.
Interesting. So, all right, that was just sort of back in my mind. Now, here's my next question is kind of two. I'm just going to mention 2 questions because I feel they're probably related. As you were filming Wolf of Snow Hollow, while not a big budgeted movie, is sort of more of a, I think, a studio type movie for you. You were raising money for the beta test on a crowd funding site. I know it wasn't Kickstarter, but I'm not sure what it was.
It's called WeFunder. Yeah.
WeFunder. Yeah. And so I think most people wouldn't think that way. Most people would say, all right, hey, we've got the studio movie, we're going to keep being able to make this. And so my first question is about that, and about why you felt like it was time to suddenly do a purely crowdsourced type movie while you were in the middle of this other movie. And then my next question, I think, relates to it, and that is beta test is all about, or there's a subtext or a context of
Hollywood.
A loathing of agencies.
Yeah.
And some of the onerous sort of, now film students and most young filmmakers feel like their first thing that they need to succeed is to get an agent. And so can you kind of talk about those two questions? I feel they're probably related.
Sure, they are. Thank you for the question. So my first film was a Kickstarter campaign. I won the grand jury prize for short films at the Sundance 2016 Film Festival, and I still couldn't get anybody to help us to turn Thunder Road into a feature. I had like 75 general meetings in Hollywood. I had the top agents in Hollywood at William Morris Endeavor, and still couldn't get anybody to give us the 250 grand that we needed to make that movie. We ended up shooting it for 190. But really, we ran this Kickstarter campaign. It was $36,000 we got from fans of the short film once it was available on Vimeo. And then we made this big studio movie after the Thunder Road feature was successful, based on a feature that I had written as like a pseudo web series, True Detective thing, Wolf of Snow Hollow. And we went out 1 week after we won South by Southwest and got into Cannes with Thunder Road. And they said, yeah, we'll greenlight that movie. It didn't really matter about the script. I had written the script before I had written Thunder Road, the feature. And then it took me being like, oh no, now it has to be really good. Now I have to rewrite it and make it any good. And I did. And then I got about 6 months into the edit, maybe 5 months into the edit of The Wolf of Snow Hollow. And I realized that the studio was like pulling at the threads of the sweater and changing things. And I wasn't going to have final cut like I did on Thunder Road. And I was worried that it was going to end up being mediocre because the studio didn't really care about it as much as I did. And so I immediately launched this crowdfunding campaign for my next film because I was like, people are going to make fun of me on the internet. I've got to make something really good as a follow-up. And that became the beta test. But no, it was a bit funny. I was taking notes from people at MGM and Orion, who I really loved. The younger executives, very smart, savvy people, which is why I decided to go with them. But I was taking notes from people that weren't going to be working at the company in 3 months. It was like I was taking notes in a vacuum and it didn't really matter. And I was making the movie more mediocre. And it got to a point where they kept on giving notes that were making the movie terrible. And I said once on a phone call, you guys, I don't think that these are good. And I'm the writer, actor, director. At the end of the day, the microphone ends up in my face. And I'd like to say nice things about y'all when I name you. And I stopped getting notes immediately and was able to have final cut for the next like 2 months of the post-production. So yeah, I don't know. I have a very strange relationship with the film industry, and I like it that way. I think it's important to have those kinds of threats that you can do it on your own. And running a crowd equity campaign was one of the smartest things we've ever done because we couldn't get canceled. We couldn't get kicked out of Hollywood. We were getting all of the financing from fans and people that wanted to support independent filmmaking on the internet, strangers on the internet. And because we knew how to make the movies on our own, and because we were getting, donors of $100. So like we had 255 investors at the end of the day that made up the 350 grand that we shot the beta test for. And nobody really gave notes because nobody put in enough money to make it feel like they were, the owners of the film. And so we had final cut, and I was able to mix the film and edit it in this garage for, 16 months or something like that.
All during the pandemic.
All during the pandemic, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, let's start asking questions. Well, as you guys come down, can I follow up with that other question about agents? And that kind of tricky question, especially for our film students and people just getting in.
Yeah. So speaking from experience, about 99% of the work that I got from the film industry was from people seeing my movies on airplanes. That's how I met Nicolas Cage. That's how Christopher Nolan saw Wolf of Snow Hollow. That's how David Gordon Green booked me in Halloween Kills. Had nothing to do with the agency world. It all had to do with just people seeing your work on Vimeo or online. And agents are more like brokers now. You kind of have to give them something worthwhile before they can make you any money or get you into anything. It's a bit different for casting and talent agents because they have like scripts that come in and you can self-tape for it, and that's a different thing. But when it comes to like writing a script and getting it made, that world is dead. You have to do it yourself. So much so that like even me, who has had 3 successful A's and B student films on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm still considering doing crowd equity campaigns for my next films, and I'm a great candidate to make bigger stuff. It's just a very different world right now than it was when Damien Chazelle was turning Whiplash from a short into a feature.
Right. Amazing. Okay, we got questions. When you come in, make sure you're visible. Tell us your name. Right. I guess you could read their names, but tell them a little bit about yourself. We're going to start with Sebastian.
All right, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, sweet. I'm Sebastian Saavedra. I just want to say that your filmography is very inspiring to me. I really enjoyed.
My Neighbor Totoro poster behind you?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what's your favorite Studio Ghibli movie if you have one?
The Wind Rises.
The Wind Rises. Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh.
Mine's I still have to get it. Princess Mononoke is my favorite, but
yeah, it's really good.
That one's really good. Anyways, I've really enjoyed Thunder Road, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, and The Beta Test. And you've all both acted, written, directed all of those feature films. So I'm wondering, like, how are you able to like juggle acting and directing at the same time? Because that must be like I don't know, that must be pretty hard. I don't know.
I guess very poorly is the answer that I give you. I can sometimes see the movies and see myself forgetting the lines. So like very badly. It's a lot of running back and forth. So like for Thunder Road, I have a team of 4 producers on that film. And I usually have about 3 or 4 producers on any movie, and that's how I like it. I was a producer for 6 years before I started acting and directing and writing. And so really it's like a lot of shooting, and I'll run into camera, like I'll direct kind of how everything needs to move, how zoomed in the lens has to be at every moment. It's very technical and forensic because it has to be. We have a very small budget. And then I'll put a Southern accent on and jump into frame and do my bit and then go, how's that? Did that work? Did we get it? Is it in focus? And then if the team says, yeah, we got it, let's move on, then it's like, oh, thank God. Okay, cool. And we'll move on to the next thing. We very rarely have time for playback because we just need to keep shooting. We have a very small schedule. We shot Thunder Road in 14 days. We shot the beta test in 17. Wolf of Snow Hollow was the longest we had. It was 23. And even then was not too long. I didn't watch playback or dailies for the first 4 days of shooting Wolf of Snow Hollow because our camera team was like not moving at the same pace that we had worked on for Thunder Road.
Wow, that's crazy. 14 days. Wow.
That's not the shortest time. I mean, we shot a movie called 13 Cameras in 14 days, in 10 days in a backyard in Escondido. And yeah, I think everybody should do that. It's like a really fun, very quick grad school that you can learn a lot in the group.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Preston Weaver. I'm a junior, and I'm going into the cinematography route, but I love all 3 of your films. I watched them this weekend.
Oh, wow.
I have a question. I watched your behind the scenes video of the, I think, was it?
Yeah, I'm proud of that.
Yeah, and I was very curious about like the funding and stuff, and my wheels started turning and like tried to figure out like how maybe I would do that, because it's very, let me tell you, money is a hot topic, especially when you're married. So I just got married, and so
Congratulations.
I'm like, okay, well, I need money to shoot these things. So my question would be, if you're in my position or in a lot of our positions, what would you do? How would you go about?
I'd immediately get divorced. No, I'm kidding. I would say run a Kickstarter campaign and create cool video Facebook ads and target people who are interested in the subject of the movie that you're trying to make that are also interested in Kickstarter, and narrow it down to people who are in your demographic from your Vimeo analytics or YouTube analytics or Instagram analytics, and say, cool, it's going to be 18-year-olds to 34-year-olds who are interested in film or whatever, and then target people in your area. If you're making the movie in Utah, then just say, hey, this is like a, local boy does good and makes a cool movie, and run a couple $100 or $100 and see what you can get, and then retarget people based on how they're responding to the campaign.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Again, love your films.
Oh, you poor thing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're all a little sick here. Who's no, I got here. Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry, I got thrown off because I saw your comment there. I did send a message to you that you'll see when we're done that we had got
Oh.
started a little late.
Oh.
Roan.
Hi, Jim. I'm Roan. It's nice to meet you. This is a big honor for me because I'm a big fan. I'm mostly interested in taking the directing and the editing classes here at UVU. So my question is for you is as a director and as an editor, are there any preemptive editing decisions that you make during the directing
100%.
process?
100%. All of them. The movie is edited and done by the time we show up on set. And I don't know how people direct something and they'll say, oh, let's just get coverage. Let's just get this how it is. Because we've never had the budget or the schedule to be able to do that. Like if there is fun improv and you're trying to capture lightning in a bottle with 2 actors and you want to change the thing, but like I'm already knowing how these things get put together. Like each of the scenes is so meticulous. It might not be storyboarded, but when I show up, my cinematographer and I have already gone through extensive shot listings of when these cuts happen. So like a good example of like in the beta test, there's a restaurant scene and we start out with this like slick dolly move from the like flame coming up in the heater down past this crazy zoom. Yeah, it's a neat opening, but we didn't cover the rest of the scene. We just covered the opening because we knew we were only going to use that shot for the opening. It saves you time. If you the amount of prep that you can do for that stuff as an editor will only help you out as a director. The only reason I'm any good at being a director of cinema is because I spent 6 years or 8 years being an editor and knowing how these things were going to get put together.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I suggest watching Hitchcock. Hitchcock is very good with that stuff. Bong Joon-ho as well. Like it's so forensic how those movies are made. They had to have edited them before they showed up on set, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool.
We're gonna have to move that down. Hi, Jim. There we go. I'm Jaden. I'm a junior here at UVU, and I'm also interested in the cinematography track and editing too. But I had a question about your writing process because I'm currently in a writing class right now, and I found it kind of hard, like to come up with ideas and to like flesh those out. And I really liked your writing style and your like all of your characters I think are so complex. So I was just wondering if you could share anything you might think is helpful about your personal writing process or if you have any tips.
Yeah, I'm really bad at that. Seriously, I'm decent at storytelling and visual storytelling and oral storytelling. That's why so many of my characters just talk the whole time, which is obnoxious in retrospect. But no, I think really doing it out loud is the best thing. I hated screenwriting classes. It made me feel so inadequate. And I felt like it was math again. And I was just not ready for it. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was continually reminded that you had to read some book to learn how to tell a story in a movie. And then I quit that. I quit subscribing to that kind of cargo cult that is screenwriting fetish. And instead did it all out loud. And I had the idea for the movie and I'd do this extensive outline with like, some dialogue, telling the story, basically writing the story. And then I'd get up and act out all the scenes instead of like sitting in a coffee shop with headphones and hearing voices in my head that are the scenes and writing it down. I'd actually have them come out of human vocal cords, my own, and I'd workshop it 1,000 times. Thunder Road was written very drunkenly in my buddy PJ's basement. And that was the only way I knew how to get it out because I was kind of quitting the world of, formal screenwriting technique. And instead I was like, well, fuck it. It's just got to be interesting. I know how to make something interesting. And then how do I raise the stakes? And the scene's feeling a bit too long because I'm getting tired of it just by doing it out loud. And then I'll get a recorder and I'll just hook it up to my laptop and go into a closet and record the whole script and play all the parts. And then while you're recording it, you'll go, oh, this is taking forever. Or like, oh, these 2 scenes could get put together. You can feel it because you're doing it. And it's as though you're standing up on a microphone right now talking to an audience and you're worried that you're going to bore them. You can feel that only when you do it out loud. And nobody's going to read the script. That's the other thing. Like, even for me, I have trouble getting people to read the thing. So I do it as a podcast, and I'll like record it. It's, me playing a 9-year-old girl in Thunder Road. And then I put in like music and sound design. And that's how you get an executive to pay attention. I grew up listening to the Harry Potter books, and Jim Dale plays Hermione and Hagrid in the same scene, and it doesn't fucking matter. It didn't bump me. And so it's like, all right, just do that. That's way more interesting than this archaic, stupid format that only helps old white guys. Sorry, I hate screenplays. I hope that's evident. But yeah, make it work for you. It never worked for me. It was never working for me, and it still doesn't. And so I just changed it, and people can't tell the difference.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. I've just ruined her life. I'm so sorry.
Fortunately, I don't teach screenwriting. Alex is here though.
Sorry, Alex.
Who's next? One of you? Yeah. Oh, no, we had a person here. I'm totally mixed up with the order. Ashley. Also, I just don't know what just happened.
I can, but it's dim.
Oh, I'll just talk loud, I guess.
There we go.
Is
Now I
that
can.
okay?
And then your screen.
Yeah. Cool. So I really liked your short films, especially. I just
wow.
wondered, like, what inspired your idea to do one-take short films, and what is like your day like on set when you're filming those, and what's like the rehearsal process like for those?
It's miserable. It's very. I try to have as much fun. I am like on set. I'm very energetic. I am like. A couple of coffees in, and I'm so amped that we're finally making the thing. And it's like, it's gotta be perfect. And so like, I have this like very fast paced, jittery energy. There's a story, Bong Joon-ho apparently eats all the time on set. He's just having ramen and udon and like that shit. And he's very calm on set. That is not me. I'm like all over the place, meth head kind of thing. And then for short films, I had started out in hand-drawn animation. So I wasn't doing, I was producing it for a year and a half. And the beauty of hand-drawn animation is that when you go to a film festival, people watch it, when you screen it online, people go, I can't believe they did that. Every frame was animated. And with long takes, when I was watching Children of Men or a Tarkovsky film, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. And it felt like an extension of that same feeling where we wanted to put the audience for animation in live action. And I thought, this could be impressive. And I always loved Children of Men. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And then it came to a point where I was like, all right, well, I'd love to do a short film. And that was in my mind, that I could do these long takes. I might be good at it. And I did Thunder Road, and then that won Sundance. And then literally the only thing I could get greenlit was more of the same. And I had these other ideas for stuff that I wanted to do. And 2 different entities had the money, more money than sense, and booked us to make 9 more single take short films in a year and a half. And I suggest everybody do that kind of thing. Not only will it teach you a lot about holding an audience's attention over a short period of time, doing 10 short films in a row is basically a feature. And then that will gear you up to, even if they're sketches, just like getting familiar and having people on the team work together for the same vision that's 90 minutes is very helpful. I hope that answered your question. Sorry.
Excellent.
Hello, my name is Jackson. I'm an editor and a junior. So I watched the behind the scenes for the beta test.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you did the editing in a closet on the ground. I was
Yeah.
wondering if that was born out of necessity or if that was like a professional strategy.
Oh no, it was necessity. It was awful. My back was killing me. I had a yoga mat to sit on. It was terrible. Don't do it. Have a standing desk. Do the Walter Murch thing. Walter Murch always says he edits until he's tired, and you can tell when the editing is not going to be good when your feet hurt. And so standing up is very helpful. But no, it was during the pandemic, and so I got sick of my desk, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I was constantly moving around the apartment to find a space that had a different view. It's the same thing. You're working with the same 90 minutes for 16 months, and you have to change what you're looking at sometimes. So yeah, no, it was necessity. It wasn't out of trying to be cool or something.
Okay, very cool. Thank you. I really like the movies. I like your style.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Up next, we have Joe Witt.
Hi, my name is Joe Witt. I'm a junior, but this is kind of like my second year, or second part of my first year in the filmmaking. So my main question was, what was the inspiration behind Wolf of Snow Hollow? I'm like very interested in inspirations.
Yeah. To be honest, I was watching years before I wrote it. I was watching True Detective season 1, and they kept on referring to the bad guy as the tall man, the Yellow King. And then you get to the end and he's not that tall. And I was like, man, that sucks. And I was like, it'd be really cool to have a bad guy just like reveal through their biology that they're the bad guy. I was like, that feels very Hitchcockian. And I love that show. It's probably my favorite season of television, but still I was like, man, that could be really neat. And so I had the idea of the reveal of Carnery standing up and he's fucking 8 feet tall or whatever. And I was like, that could be really neat. And then it just became these like reveals and like hiding the thing, burying, the lead until the end. And that just excited me. So it was me thinking I'd be cooler than Cary Fukunaga. It was foolishness was the origin story of Wolf of Snow Hollow. And then I had already done this research for Thunder Road and police departments, sheriff's departments. And same thing. I like went to the studio and I was like, I've written the script. It's Thunder Road with a werewolf. And then they were like, cool, you're greenlit. Whereas like my paparazzi movie didn't get picked up and still hasn't. It's like you have to give the executives something that they're not going to get fired over. And it happened to be this one.
Nice. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So these are actually like really important questions. And I know that we probably have a time limit, but I'm going to stay here as long as you guys want. If you have any questions, I'm going to break the time limit and let's keep talking.
We don't have a time limit.
We don't have, yeah.
Great.
Hi.
No,
Hi.
try and make you comfortable. Just
Thank you. I'm
stand normally.
just being dumb. Hi, I'm Marin.
Hi, Aaron.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming to talk to us. My question was, you said you were an editor, a writer, producer, director, all of those things. And I was wondering if you had a favorite and how you figured out that that was your favorite and kind of what kind of path led you to that.
My favorite is all of them. There is this really great energy on set that where you're like, you've written this thing and you've rehearsed it for months and it's humiliating and it's purposely making you look bad. And so you get to play the clown a bit and then your friends are behind the camera and they all know the shtick because they've seen you rehearse it. And then you get the shot and you're like, I think we got it. And then you all run back behind the camera and you watch playback on this big screen and you're laughing and you're crying and you're hugging each other. It's the most fulfilling thing. And I get to pretend to be Jackie Chan as like a writer, actor, director, and get the shit kicked out of me. And it's the most fulfilling thing. So really, I don't know if I'd be very good at one of them individually. I'm not a very good director of actors, as you can clearly see from the scenes I'm not in. But I line read all the time. I'm like, no, it's got to be the punch. You're missing the punchline. It has to be said like this, and then elevate it. I don't know. I think really the answer for that is all of them. But if I had to pick one, directing, just because the director kind of sculpts the audience's attention, and I like that a lot. Building the roller coaster.
Cool. Well, thank you.
All right, and up next is Valerie. No, I'm sorry, Cassidy. Cassidy
Yes,
Kahn.
sorry, the name's kind of wrong.
You're right.
So I am an editor currently, and I wanted to know what the process was from switching from being an editor to a director, and what made you make that switch.
Ambition. I was working also as a producer while being an editor at a company called College Humor, which isn't around anymore. And I was making things that weren't really that funny and weren't really that important. And it just got to a point where I was like, oh, just fucking let me do it. Oh, just let me do it. I'll see if what's the worst can happen if I fail. And having to work on other projects that were mediocre and trying to be funny, and it was just painful. It wore on me, and I wrote the Thunder Road short film on my commutes to work. It was 45 minutes there and 45 minutes home. And I could just listen to the radio and put Bruce Springsteen on and then just do it 3 times each way. And that became me getting back into the saddle again.
Nice. Okay. And then how did you also come up with the idea for Fury Road?
George Miller and I were working together. No, we were drunk in a hot tub. No, my buddy PJ was in a hot tub with me, and we were drunk. And it was probably 4 p.m. It was 2015, and he told me a story about a friend of his that sang a song at a funeral. And I said, "Oh my God, like that's crazy. What did it sound like? Did somebody film it?" And he got very serious, and he goes, "No, why would someone film that?" And I was like, "Oh, fuck, man, sorry, man, I didn't mean to offend you." But I thought about that, and I was like, "Oh, that's really wild." Yeah, I've never seen that before. And I was like, because it would be so raw, it wouldn't sound good. It wouldn't be a good performance of the song because the person would be so emotional. And I was like, that'd be really funny. And also that'd be really sad. And at that point, I wasn't an actor, never taken an acting class. I still haven't. And so I was like, oh, this could be a really good monologue for an actor. And then I just kept thinking about it. And then I was like, how do you make it even crazier? How do you make it more topical? He should be a police officer. It should have this choreographed dance routine because his mom was a dancer. It kept on like snowballing to becoming something where I was like, oh, this would be undeniable. This would be, you could not believe that you were watching this thing happen. It would be like David Brent from The Office or Alan Partridge in this like American South horror, sad, depressing story. And I was like, this could be really neat. And I kept on texting my mom after I was finishing. I was like, it's gonna be really good. I think it's gonna be really, really, really good. I think it's gonna be really good. And she saved all the text messages and screen grabbed them and sent them to me. So I guess I knew. But anyway, that's how we had the idea. It happened over a long period of time and then all at once.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's waiting for a question here, but I want to interject with one because in the feature you don't get to use the actual song. And how do you, and I'm sure that's for money, but maybe it wasn't. And if it wasn't for money, what was the thought behind it? And if it was, how did you wrap your head around just not having it?
Yeah, it sucked. So we shot the short film, and it's actually me singing the song. I put it on the radio. It's a very copywritten song, and it's never been licensed for a movie before. Little did I know. And my parents are lawyers, and they were like, "You're an idiot. You're gonna get sued. What are you doing? Bruce Springsteen's gonna come after you." And I had to lie on the contract to Sundance. It said, "Do you have the rights to everything in the movie?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And filled it in and sent it off. And then we got into the festival. And I thought, oh no, we're never going to be able to put this online because there's too much notoriety around it. And then we won the festival, being, copyright infringers. It's a criminal act. And I was like, now we're really never going to be able to put this thing online. And then I was trying to talk to Springsteen through his management company, and we got in touch with his manager, but he was on tour at the time and he didn't have time to watch it. And he said, yeah, we watched the clip and he liked it. And he said, thanks for sending it. I was like, no, I need the rights. You got to give me the rights to put it online. And so I wrote an open letter on medium.com, this blog, and I said, "Dear Bruce Springsteen." And it was like, I'm a nobody, but I did this thing and it won Sundance. I'm begging you, please, I got nothing. Can you please just say yes? And I got a letter the next day, an email from his lawyer saying, take down the open letter. You can put it on Vimeo for a year. Give us $1,000 a year. And so now every year I write a check to Bruce Springsteen. It says to Bruce Springsteen, $1,000. And then for the feature, we didn't even bother. We recorded it. We did 9 takes of the opening funeral scene in the morning with the song, exactly as it is in the short film. And then we broke for lunch. And I meditated, and then I did 9 more takes of the thing without the eulogy. There's actually a funny moment in it where I go, it's not going to work. I don't even know if it's going to work without the song, but I love my mom. And it's just this funny allusion to me in the writer's room being like, I don't know if the movie's even going to work if we don't have Bruce Springsteen in it. and then we used the last take just because it was so horrible to watch and realistic, and I was exhausted, and so it felt real.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing. Yes, sorry. All right.
And now he's a fan. You can break the rules, and when Thunder Road, the feature, went on to Amazon Prime, the whole Springsteen family watched it in their living room, and then Patty Scialfa, his partner, reached out on Instagram and was like, "We love you. You're so great." And I was like, I thought I was going to get sued. It's fine. You can break the rules. There are no rules. They're imaginary.
Okay. What's up? I'm Garrett.
Hi, Garrett.
In the directing track. So you talked about it earlier as far as directing and acting, like on the technical side, as far as like camera stuff. So I was wondering if you could go into directing actors while you're also acting, because whenever I've done that, it's like I'm so like thinking about what I'm doing, I almost just like don't even pay attention to their performance. So I was wondering if that was difficult for you, or if you it sounded like maybe it's easier for you if you're in the scene.
It is nice because sometimes in the middle of the scene, I'll be acting, and then it's like for Wolf of Snow Hollow, that diner scene between me and Skylar Gutierrez, and then Bo and those guys, Demetrius. There were times where we'd be doing it. We only had a couple hours to shoot that scene, and so we rehearsed it a whole bunch beforehand. And then while we're rolling, it's just running a series on Gutierrez. The camera's in one angle, just shooting him the whole time, and then we'll do it, and I'll go, "Give it to me again, do it again, but say it like this, do it a little different, say it like you actually, okay, cool." And then we'll do it again. And then it's just like, I know what I need in the edit. And so it's very funny. Although I am acting in the film, I break character a lot just to be like, stop, do it better. And then sometimes people do that to me as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think that there is a tightrope when the director is behind the camera, because you want to impress the director, but then in being in the scene with them, it is an added distraction of like, oh, is he going to stop the scene at any moment and tell me I'm bad?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Do you have like someone designated on set to kind of like check your performance? Like, do you have?
Yeah, those producers. Yeah, I mean, I trust my producers with my life. They've been on since my short films. And then my buddy Danny Madden, who's also a filmmaker, was on set for Thunder Road. We called him the creative director. I don't think that's a real term in film sets, but like there were times when I'm rehearsing with actors, and then people in like the armorer would come up and say, "Hey, I need to talk to Jim to find out what gun that he wants." And I'd be like talking to wardrobe and trying to figure out something, and then listen for a second, a little bit of my attention. And Danny would go, "No, he's not going to want one of these. He wants something that's going to be shorter. It's for, it's got to be put into a pair of jeans." And immediately I go, "Oh, thank God. I don't have to answer that question. I can direct the actors." So Danny was really helpful. Just like having a core team of people that insulate me was very valuable.
All right, cool. That's all I had to say.
Thanks so much, dude.
All right. How you holding up?
Cool. He was like Val Kilmer. He was cool. Sorry, continue.
We have, this is fun for me because this is a recent graduate who writes, "Hey, Dwayne, good to see you. Love to ask a quick question. Jess, are you still with us?"
I am. How are you doing?
Awesome. I'm good. Talk to
Good. I'm Jess. I graduated in editing and post-production. I had two quick things I wanted to say. First is my brother Dan was coroner.
Yeah,
Harry,
he was.
so
I was gonna say. Sorry.
Yeah, pretty similar looks wise. Yeah, so he wanted me to say hi, and with that one scene, where it's just kind of all revolving around, was that at the crime scene? Was that a one take, or was that clever editing?
It's two shots. The one that you're talking about is actually one long take of me. Like, I basically lifted it from Memories of Murder. I didn't realize that I was stealing it from Bong Joon-ho because I hadn't seen the movie until this year, stupidly. But the full 360 Steadicam thing was all one shot. And then we cut to me at Hannah's funeral, and then it cuts to another long take of me like, being angry at the EMT and then shouting at Chavez and Julia. So like it was two Steadicam shots. And once we wrapped the first one, we just moved on to the second one. So, but the actual long 360 shot is real.
Cool. Great. I love the movie. It was awesome to see my brother get slapped by somebody.
I'm so sorry. I
I've
hit him
wanted
hard.
to do it many times.
I hit him a
I
couple
mean,
of times.
Don't apologize to me. I was totally cool with it. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you.
Hey Jim, how's it going? So I saw this clip that you did, how to make a movie, and one of the things that caught my attention was when you first started with your friends recording. You talked about like your friends were making all these videos and all that stuff, and you were like sitting on your couch. So my question, to you is like, what motivated you to get off your couch and to start making movies?
Pettiness, honestly.
It was
Pettiness, absolute pettiness. Seeing other filmmakers with mediocre stuff being celebrated got me so angry, and that became ambition, to be entirely honest. And I felt bad about that answer for a while, and I kept it private, but really it became this burning fury inside of me to make better stuff. Because I had gone to film school, I'd seen 1,000 movies growing up. I'm from New Orleans, I'm not in the film industry at all. And so I have this like immediate feeling of inadequacy, that I'm not cool enough, I'm not in the club or whatever. And so that became, very primed for me to be an ambitious person. And then I was working at a comedy company that people were getting celebrated for mediocre sketch comedy. And I was like, this isn't challenging. This isn't impressive. Like, I'm seeing stuff that's getting Vimeo staff picked that's impossible to do. And that's so cool. Why am I not doing that? And over the years, it just became me hating this guy that I worked with, that everybody was patting on the back. And I was like, you cheese dick. And so honestly, the thing that got me off of the couch was me wanting to show off.
I'm guessing you don't have TikTok?
No, I do, but I don't really put anything on there, no.
Oh yeah, because those are horrible.
Okay, we have, thank you, Dio. We have, I think this says Chad Young.
Yeah, hi, I'm a sophomore kind of going into, or I'm a junior. I don't know why I said sophomore. Anyways, I'm going into, I'm looking at doing script writing and directing. And I guess my question is I come from a background where I haven't really done film, and it wasn't until like 2 years ago that I actually decided this is actually what I want to go into and I want to do. And I was just curious kind of how you got started and how I guess how you, I don't know if you overcame, I mean, you kind of said how you had some feelings of inadequacy and kind of how you overcame that.
I don't know. I mean, that's the biggest battle, right? In any industry, is feeling like you don't know what you're doing. And the feeling is often like driving at night, where you can only see a little bit of the road ahead of you. And the rest of the world is very opaque. But I just watched films. When I started out, I was making shorts. I had no ambitions of doing anything larger. I didn't think that anybody would let me. And so I just focused on the short story. I focused on short filmmaking, and I got on Short of the Week, and they have this great delineation of channels. So you can watch all the shorts that screen at Sundance, or all the shorts that screen at South by Southwest, all the shorts that screen at Cannes and Berlinale, all the top festivals. And I just made that my homework in 2014 and watched 1,000 shorts. And you'd be watching, 8 out of the 10 at South by Southwest. You go, oh my God, like, I can't believe people are doing cool stuff in Armenia or Greece or anywhere around the world. Somebody else has the same fantasies that I do, and they're doing cool stuff. And then 2 out of the 10, you're like, nah, that kind of sucked. I could do better than that. And those 2 were the only reasons I got off of the couch, to say, okay, I'll never be as good as these guys. I could never do what Alfonso Cuarón is doing. But I could definitely do better than these people. And that made me ambitious. That made me think that if I submitted something that was better than that, it would get into South by Southwest. And I was right.
That's awesome. Also, I really loved your film. So that was great.
Thank you so much.
All right, Owen.
Hi, Jim. How's it going?
It's going well. How you doing?
Not too bad. So I've seen all your movies, really love them, but I've kind of noticed you kind of like have like this character that has become like this high-strung, high-paced character that's in every one of your movies. And I'm curious, does that come from you like sitting in the closet reading those lines to yourself? Has this character become you? Are you the character, or is it just its own entity now, this own character that you kind of like to run with in your movies, essentially?
I mean, the difficult thing is that like the way that I make movies and the way that I've been greenlit because of us winning Sundance with something that I acted in is just that. So like I probably have to act in it. And then I just think that public freakouts are undeniably interesting. And I just love watching somebody say, I'm not going to take the shit anymore on an airplane, you know? And I just like, it's amazing. It's just like, it's such an interesting depiction of, you know, what somebody's going through. It's humanity. And that's like what all of the best acting is. You see, you know, Denzel in Training Day or Toshiro Mifune in Seven Samurai. It's like, it's just somebody saying, I'm not taking it anymore. Fuck all you guys. And I just find that really funny as well. So yeah, inside of that Venn diagram, it has to be me. It has to be me shouting and screaming in a parking lot at one point, at least in the films. So yeah, I don't know. I've made movies. One of my short films is called The Robbery, and it's about a meth head. You know, it's a good one. Okay, cool. Some people have seen it. And that wasn't me acting in it. That's a great actress named Ray Gray. And so it does work for actresses as well. But the only way that we've been able to get greenlit is when it's me doing the thing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Brigham.
Wow. Hi, Jim. Thank you so
Hi.
much for being here with us, brother. I really do appreciate that. I'm Brigham. I'm part of the cinematography track. I just wanted to ask, my final question, Dwayne, or do we got more waiting?
No, you're good. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Cool.
Thanks. I wanted to ask, with obviously in any sort of career, film especially, everyone makes mistakes, especially very early on in their career. I've made them. I know Dwayne has probably made them. I'm very curious to know if there are any mistakes that you've made that you would avoid. You would advise us to maybe avoid getting ourselves trapped into.
Yeah, I made them all. I mean, that's how you get to be any good at anything. But no, I made a feature that I wrote and directed with my friends from college in 2009 called No Flood Wall Here, and it was set in post-Katrina New Orleans, which is where I'm from, and it was just boring. And I wrote this 100-page script, and I spent a year and a half editing it to be a 73-minute movie because the rest of it was so boring. And it got into one film festival, got a New Orleans Film Festival, thank heavens, and nobody came. It was like me and my parents, and I cite it as like an enormous failure. But I sat out at a canal afterwards, and my buddy Danny was patting me on the back, and he said, I said, I'm never going to make another boring movie. And that was 2011 when we screened it. And then by 2015, I was making the Thunder Road short film. So it killed me for about 5 years thinking that I was a bad filmmaker. But no, the first thing that I would suggest everybody do, if you're going to make your first feature, make a feature first. Make something that you can shoot on an iPhone with your friends and learn how you tell a story over 90 minutes. And then the second piece of advice is never assume that the audience is going to be interested. It is your job to make them interested. Nobody gives a shit about what you're doing, and they're incredibly judgmental. And so you have to make stuff that is going to cut through that judgmentalness.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Jim. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Brigham.
Excellent. Rachel.
Hello.
Sebastian's doing gang signs. He's like, let's go. Yeah, cut through them.
My question is, how do you come up with and run with an idea, and how do you know when to stop? Because you kind of realize it turns to shit, or when you know to keep going with it because it's going the way you want.
Yeah, there is there's an expression, apparently it's different between women and men, but with men, if you have to ask yourself if you're having a heart attack, you're not having a heart attack. You know it when it hits you. Female heart attacks are a little different. But I like the expression, and it works for me with artwork of like, if you have to ask yourself why you're doing the thing, or why you're telling this story, and it's not working for you yet, either work on the thing that is actually making you laugh and cry, or like hitting you in the chest, or ask yourself, if this is the next thing on the slate, how do I get this thing to make me feel that? And oftentimes nowadays, it's me doing that for every scene of like, all right, this has to be set up for some payoff, whether it be comedic or dramatic. But Rachel, that's just life, and it's awful. It's like, there's so much, you can spend years of your life working on something that never happens. And so like, I end up just writing the thing that I can do now, or something that I know that I can run a Kickstarter campaign and finance. And that is how I beat the fears of inadequacy and depression about a certain thing. And it keeps me focused on how I tell the stories I get to tell.
Okay, thank you.
Was that helpful?
Yeah, thanks. I took notes. Thanks.
Okay, thank heavens.
Okay, I think we've got one more person, and that is Wes. Actually, we've got two more people, but we'll go with Wes first.
Hi, Jim. I'm Wes.
Wes.
I'm an editor and a senior. Just want to say thanks for hanging out with us. I wanted to say the line in the film when you're it's that confrontation with your daughter, and you say, I'm sitting here in Summit County being an asshole. I just thought that was so funny, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I relate to that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My producer wanted me to cut it. He wanted me to ADR in some shit county instead of Summit County. And and I said, no, that's honest. There was this one moment in the script. It wasn't in the script, and we delivered it to the studio thinking it was okay. But the moment where I go, Utah, of like frustrated that like there was just incompetence and all of this stuff, and I just insult the entire state with this one word as a pejorative word, and I was like, I don't know if that's going to be okay. And Tyson, this dude who is one of our camera assistants, came up to me after I said the line and goes, "Man, I say that once a week. Thank you for doing that." He was like, he's from Utah. He was like, dude, you have no idea. Anyway.
No, I really appreciated that. And I feel like most of us here can attest to that truth. So, but my question for you, you were born in New Orleans. You're obviously not like in the, I don't know, Hollywood kind of incestuous, like, I guess you're not like a child of, famous movie stars and all that.
I'm calling you from a garage.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess my question to you is, you've obviously, I would say you've made it as a filmmaker. Maybe you disagree, but I would say you've definitely made it in telling really great stories. And so I kind of wanted to ask what your thoughts are on, the odds of all of us, making good stories, getting them out there, getting funding. What are the odds of all of us? Is it really quality storytelling, or is it fundraising, or is it a combination of both? What would you say about that?
Yeah. The first part, I could answer that two ways. I could answer that statistically, which is very sad. But then I think it would discredit the people who are actually gonna keep doing this and fight for it and lose years of their lives and years of sleep doing the thing that they have to do to get out of their system. Because I was that person, I didn't know it. I was the person that thought about the statistics, and I was like, oh, I'll never make it. It's all rigged. And then I submitted blindly to Sundance and got in and won and had my mind changed immediately. So I don't know. I think really the technology is going to be in a place now for y'all that it wasn't for me. And I think anybody that wants to be able to make a 90-minute movie every year, it's only going to get easier. And the technology is going to be such that you could, paint this wall green and then do what Zack Snyder was doing in 300 from a laptop or an iPhone. And I think that's important to remember, that like, it's only going to be easier to make movies. And you shouldn't be thinking about the people who are also using that technology, and instead think about those people that didn't spend any time in the library or the laboratory and are going to be worse storytellers than you are, or worse, less considerate of audience attention and their time, and giving them something better. So, I think anybody can cook, but there's going to be great chefs that come from anywhere. I came from Metairie, Louisiana, and I don't think that I've made it yet. I think I'm a fraud. I think I keep forgetting about the movies. I was watching Wolf of Snow Hollow, and y'all were playing it, had it up on the little screen. And I don't remember being in those rooms. I don't remember delivering the lines. Making movies is a bit like being on the monkey bars, and you like have the one, and then you're going on to the next one, and you're going on to the next one, you kind of forget the other ones, and then you just have blisters. I don't know where that metaphor is going.
It's good. It's good. It works.
Yeah, but really, I don't know. I think for a long time, I thought that I was going to be a film producer. I thought I was going to be a film editor. I didn't think that I'd be a leading man in feature films, or be considered an actor by any means. So, go to school, and if you love movies and you hear about it, there's a great analogy by Christopher Hitchens. He talks about this Russian author who is talking about this exact same thing with writing. And he says, in writing books, he says, you're to imagine yourself in a country where you're a dissident and you're put in prison, and you're not allowed to write anymore, and you're gonna be in prison for the rest of your life, and they're never gonna let you write. And if the question is, if you can't write anymore, could you go on living? And if the answer is no, you're gonna be a great writer. Don't worry about it. And I feel the same way about making movies.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing your philosophy and sort of ideas with us. So thanks.
I'm
a
also
lot.
not good at anything else. Like I didn't take a math class in college. I didn't take a business class. Like I think the only thing I'm good at is making movies. And so that's kind of handcuffed me to it as well. I'm fucked.
Hey, Jim, it's me again.
Hey.
So I just want to get like really into the nitty gritty. So
Yeah.
what was one of the biggest roadblocks that you experienced as a filmmaker? And
All of
how did you overcome that? Like, how can we gain momentum and inspiration for us to like overcome any trials that we're going through as we're making films?
Yeah. Make more movies, make stuff on your own, and that becomes your competitive advantage. If you know how to do the producing of a movie and the practicals of making a film, you'd be so surprised how many people in the film industry have no idea how to make anything. They call themselves producers, they don't do anything, and they don't know how to do it. The only way that you can get in is proving that you can do it on your own. And then that becomes a threat of like, okay, well, I'm going to do this movie, but I'm going to do it through strangers on the internet. They're going to finance it. Immediately, everybody's like, no, don't do that. Here, take some of our money. We want to be involved. So really, from my experience, I had worked on 100 film sets as a PA, working for free for friends. I was a producer of 3 very successful Lil Dicky music videos, Let Me Freak, Classic Male Pregame, and Save That Money. I got those jobs because I said I would get paid $800 to produce Let Me Freak. We shot the ending scene in my apartment for the future stuff. So, like, Dave is a buddy now, and I bet on him because he was so hilarious in 2014, and then now he's Dave. I don't know. I always say network across and not up. Up you can't get to. Even going to the next level, it's like a religion. You're like climbing the ladder to something that, there really is no upward mobility. But if you work with your friends and people who are adjacent to you on Vimeo that are doing cool stuff, email them and say, hey, can I come and hang out? How can I help?
Cool. And what's your biggest roadblock?
Roadblock. You're like, and get to the point. Let's see. All of them, like really, when you're making independent films, everything is impossible. It's like Apocalypse Now. You're like going through the jungle, trying to make something and getting it in the can and bringing it home. And it's a nightmare. But really, all of the roadblocks now that I've gotten through most of the stuff were up here. It's all stuff that I thought that because I didn't know what I was doing, that disqualified me from making artwork. Or that I didn't know what I was doing, and therefore somebody was going to call me out for being a phony or a fraud or something, instead of just being like, fuck it, just go do it. And as soon as you do it for 10,000 hours and you've edited something and you've shot something and you've directed actors before, you'll be fine. And you'll be amazed how quickly your confidence goes up when you make something good. Maybe you already have. Like, that's the other thing. Just it sometimes just takes somebody seeing it or sending it to somebody and taking a risk and DMing a famous person saying, please, would you watch my short film? And maybe they say yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got 2 more people. Are you up for it?
Let's do it. Let's do them all.
All right, Daxon.
Thank you. First off, I want to say thank you for, doing this whole thing with us. It's very cool of you.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
question I had is you talk a lot about how the most important thing is keeping an audience's like attention. What do you think is the best, like, how do you personally find is like the best way to try to keep their attention? Like, what do
Jackson,
you do
put
to try
some
to do that?
posters up in the background, man. I mean, it's just white wall. Like, I'm bored to death already, man.
I'm so sorry. I'm actually at my girlfriend's apartment. Don't worry, if this was mine, I'd have 1,000 posters up. I'd never disappoint you like that.
You're losing us, Jackson.
I'm so sorry.
No, I am a Redditor multiple times a day, but I've been a Redditor for 13 years. And so being on Reddit, although it's a very dark place sometimes, it gave me this understanding of how general audiences anonymously voted on what was funny or what was heartbreaking or what was beautiful or what was dope. And so having that be my metronome and influence for 13 years gave me an understanding of general populations. And, it's the front page of the internet. It's called that for a reason. It's the 3rd most populated website or trafficked website in America. Facebook's number 4. So like, this is a great way to get a dip test on the audience. And they're relatively media literate and they're relatively smart, depending on where you go. And I don't know, that just kind of sculpted me to understand audience attention and when something was going to be too boring or when it was me trying to say something rather than making an audience feel something.
Thank you. It's good to know my Twitter addiction might come in handy when it comes to writing something.
It's often a terrible distraction. I'm trying to get off of it in writing. But Reddit is great. I can endorse that one for sure.
Okay, we're gonna create a little artistic harmony here and end where we began with Sebastian.
Okay, great.
All right, sweet. My final question is like, what's like an aspect in the film, like in the first like 10 minutes where you're like, okay, I'm instantly hooked. Like, this is like I'm gonna go all the way through. I don't care if it's 3 hours. I want to know how this ends. I want to know.
Children of Men starts out with like a bunch of news coverage of an 18-year-old boy who dies. And then you're like, why does this matter? And then it's a guy walking out, getting coffee and pouring a flask into his glass. And then a bomb goes off and there's a big cloud of smoke. And then a woman walks out of the same cafe the camera and the main character just walked out of in the future, holding her arm. And then it cuts to the title and it goes to the next scene. And it's all one shot, I think. It was 2 shots. No, it's one shot.
I think it was 2 shots. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long.
Does it go? I think it goes from the TV of Baby Diego down to him. No, it's 2 shots. You're right. It is 2 shots.
Yeah.
It's Baby Diego TV, and then it cuts to the higher up shot, and then it moves down to the crowd. Yeah.
I think the opening shot is like them looking at the TV, and then it cuts back. Yeah, no, that's
right.
like, yeah, I remember that's a really great opening. I remember seeing that with my parents, and we just did not expect that explosion to happen.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
I
think there's like, but then Krisha has an 11-minute long opening shot. If y'all haven't seen Krisha, you need to see it. It's Krisha, and it's shot in Texas for 35 grand in the director's house, in his mom's house that he was living in. And it is a masterpiece. And it's Trader Rich Schultz, the guy who made Waves, and It Comes at Night as well. This is his first feature. But that movie starts with this like crazy 10 or 11-minute shot of like walking around the neighborhood and meeting the family and this like beautiful introduction. And it's just captivating. You're like, oh, what is happening here? Yeah, I don't know, throwing an audience into a world, I think, and like making them certain that they're in good hands and that you will not be wasting their time, however you can.
All right.
Have you
Thank
seen
so
Touch
much.
of Evil? Have you seen
Huh?
Have you seen Touch of Evil, the Orson Welles movie, where it's like it starts out with a guy planting a bomb in a trunk, and then the next like 4 minutes is this long tracking shot following the car, and the audience is like, "Oh my god, when is this bomb going to go off?" It's
You know, it's on my Letterboxd watch list. Somebody recommended it to me. I need to watch more Orson Welles films, to be honest. Yeah, no, I still have to see that. It's on my watch list though. But I remember a really great opening is probably Zodiac.
Oh man. Oh, we stole that from Wolf of Snow Hollow. I mean, I basically plagiarized the opening of Zodiac. I mean,
Yeah.
literally the entire engine, the detective engine of Wolf of Snow Hollow is Zodiac. It's like, crazy murder detective story, crazy murder detective story. It's like a great pacing thing. A lot of detective stories are like that. But yeah, we basically made Zodiac as a comedy, as a parody. Zodiac is one of the best movies of all time. It's so good.
Also, Good Time by the Safdie brothers. That one.
That poor guy, that poor brother, and he just gets kidnapped from his therapy session to go rob a bank. Oh, it's awful. It's great.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for speaking with me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim, thank you for the time. This has been awesome. Your movies are great. We've got a bunch of people in Utah cheering for you, and a lot of people in Summit County. And I just can't thank you enough.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Go make movies.
Yep, thank you. Have a great night. Big round of applause. And I guess he's gone. So that means I could just quickly announce next week or next month, summertime, Oscar nominated Carlos Estrada Lopez. And for all of you guys in the class, your summary's due in a week. So see y'all.